Hi, welcome to this week's Fireside Chat. It's good to be back with you after a week on study leave. It's lovely to have the wonderful sunshine that's shining today. Um, and it's so good to have Judy Zarubik on the other end of this broadcast and recording as she makes all the technology work well and smoothly. So thank you, Judy. Now, while we have entered the green zone as of March the 1st, the Grey Bruce Health Unit is still recommending that we stay at home as much as possible. As a result, weight gain continues to be a real danger for many of us. Imagine what snow people feel like should a big snowfall come in March. Then there are all the wonderful goals we set for ourselves last year when the pandemic locked us down. For people like me who love to follow human exploration of space and the solar system, with the landing of the Perseverance rover on Mars on February 18th, there were some curious discoveries. The mission of the Perseverance rover was to look for signs of life and perhaps what might have caused its demise on Mars. However, if there is life on Mars, how might they react to the rover coming as it does from an Earth infected with COVID-19? Despite any planetary distractions, new revelations can occur at home. For many of us, the move to the green zone allows us to schedule personal services like having a relaxing massage. Those looking further ahead to the summer may have to face their fears of the barbecue. It is a year less a week since this pandemic changed how we live our lives. In the steep learning curve, discovering how to care for each other by keeping each other safe, we became used to staying 2 meters from others, washing our hands while singing happy birthday through twice, sneezing or coughing into our elbows, and in particular, wearing masks. School children incorporated online learning into their daily routine. Post-secondary students found their first year at college or university missing much of the cohort bonding because residences were closed. Parents grew adept at juggling many roles, yet felt their energy draining away at the same time. Seniors discovered how precious those once in a while visits had been once they were no longer happening, except on Zoom. In fact, our society began to realize the true worth of those who are paid too little for the essential work they accomplish each day. We all struggled, adapted, and survived. We've repeated that we are all in this together while feeling alone and lonely in the isolation. We longed for real human contact and real human touch. I believe the pandemic taught us a little bit how important kindness is for us all. Kindness begins with the understanding that we all struggle. For many, the struggle was in the silence. When we notice the quiet ones among us, they might say to us, "Please be patient with me. Sometimes I am quiet. It is because I need to figure myself out. It is not because I do not want to talk. Sometimes there are no words for my thoughts." In the silence, when there are no words, I have talked to some who have become frustrated with God when their prayers didn't magically soothe them to sleep, didn't solve their problems overwhelming them, didn't deliver the hopeful or miraculous results. God, however, doesn't wave a magic wand that cures us or whatever ails us or plagues us. Instead, God sits with us in our despair. This video was recorded from the Conan O'Brien show featuring the appropriately named band Disturbed. They chose to perform a cover of Simon and Garfunkel's The Sound of Silence. I find the performance riveting as it uses the dynamics of musical phrasing to convey the complexities of our emotional reaction to the pandemic, especially the part about people talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Let's watch.
Please welcome Disturbed!
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stared by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs and voices never shared, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fools say now you do not know, silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words and I might teach you, take my arms and I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fell, echoed in the wells of silence, and the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign lashed out its warning, and the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
Let me tell you a story about some of those who lived with the sound of silence. Rob Nash is a Canadian musician who has become a popular motivational speaker for teens. Several years ago, Rob received an urgent phone call from a high school principal. It seems that one of the school's students had killed herself. In her suicide note, she revealed that she had a suicide pact with another student, but she didn't say whom. The administration desperately wanted to find out who that other person was so they could provide the help needed. They hoped Rob could help. Standing in front of a room full of teenagers who were still reeling from the loss of their peer, he opened up about when he was suicidal. He spoke powerfully how in his worst moments, he no longer wanted to live. Then he said this, I know someone in this room is having these feelings. You are not alone. A girl approached him after the assembly, handing him a folded piece of paper. It was her suicide note. She told him through tears that she'd planned to kill herself that weekend. Listening to Nash and all his stories of survival, she felt like she could survive too. Then she gave him a bracelet, one she had always worn and one that she had planned to leave with her suicide note. I don't plan on leaving it for anybody anymore, she told him. Nash then had bracelets made with a lyric from one of his songs, Just for Today. He gives them out when he speaks to students who hand over their notes or the razors they use to self-harm or to those who are emotional after the show. The bracelet becomes a symbol of their breakthrough. Nash said that he's given out 20,000 of them. Knowing that suicides are the second leading cause of death for youth between the ages of 10 and 24, and that suicide is 4 times that number in Indigenous communities, he took 120 of those notes and had their signatures tattooed down his right arm. Now, when he gives presentations, he can hold up his arm and say, look, here are 120 kids who have those thoughts just like you, and they're still here. Your life isn't over. There is still purpose for your life. Suicide, however, is not just a danger for the young. In fact, domestic violence calls in Canada have severely increased during the pandemic, making homes into prisons for some. As well, those who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, two-spirited, asexual, non-binary, intersex, and questioning are silent everywhere. When people speak words of hate, of rejection, of disdain, or of ignorance, it hurts. Often that leads to thoughts of suicide as the only way out. In fact, trans youth who are not accepted by their family have a 41% suicidality. That number drops to 4% when they are accepted by their family, even if they are rejected everywhere else. Calling trans youth by their preferred name is suicide prevention. The role of church, then, is similar to what Brene Brown writes. I went to church thinking it would be like an epidural, that it would take the pain away. But church isn't like an epidural. It's like a midwife. I thought faith would say, I'll take away the pain and discomfort. But what it ended up saying was, I'll sit with you in it. So here is what we are called to do as a community of faith. After all, almost every major faith in the world proclaims some form of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Consider what beloved writer and humorist Stuart McLean has said. It is not said enough, so I'll say it again. The world is a good place, full of good people. When we act out of that, when we act out of hope and optimism, through faith in our fellow human, we act out our best selves. We are capable of doing great things and of contributing to the greater good. Hope and optimism aren't synonymous with naivete. They should be looking to the future with flinty and steely eyes for sure, but they should be wide open with hope, not squinting in fear. As the picture demonstrates, even out of what seems dead, new life can spring forth. That is the hope of our faith. That is what the Bible proclaims in Jesus' resurrection. Now, don't get me wrong. It is difficult to find the right approach to support those living with the sound of silence, to provide a listening ear to those struggling with sorrow, with loss, with despair, with exhaustion, and with suicidal thoughts during the isolation of this pandemic. Feel free to ask the question and then allow them to guide your response. You will make mistakes, but you will be there for them. In being there for them, you will let them know they are loved, that they are absolutely and lovingly one of God's beloved. This prayer was written by Jan Richardson, a writer, artist, and minister in the United Methodist Church in the United States, while she was working for the Shalem Institute for Spiritual Formation in Washington, D.C. Since prayer is a dialogue between God and us, and each of us and God consider this prayer as God's word to each of us when we are feeling down, depressed, or suicidal on this path of faithful becoming. Let's pray. Beloved is where we begin. If you would enter into the wilderness, do not begin without a blessing. Do not leave without hearing who you are, beloved, named by the one who has traveled this path before you. Do not go without letting it echo in your ears. And if you find it is hard to let it into your heart, do not despair. That is what this journey is for. I cannot promise this blessing will free you from danger, from fear, from hunger or thirst, from the scorching of the sun or the fall of the night. But what I can tell you on this path, there will be help. I can tell you that on this day, there will be rest. I can tell you that you will know the strange graces that come to our aid only on a road such as this, that fly to meet us bearing comfort and strength, that come alongside us for no other cause than to lean themselves toward our ear and with their curious insistence whisper our name. Beloved, beloved, beloved. Amen. I want to thank Terry Boyd, who every week that we tape these conversations, posts them to our YouTube website. Without him making that happen, it would never appear where you can access it and follow with us. I also want to say that I'm starting a new fundraiser for the church this week. It's called Will He Shave or Will He Grow? And the idea is that you can determine whether I shave my beard off or whether I keep it. And there will be details that go out in the on our website with our announcements that are posted on Friday. But basically, Whichever side donates the largest combination of money and time and talent will get to have a say as to what happens with this. I want to share this sung version of the traditional Gaelic blessing, sung by the Canadian Memorial United Church Choir in Vancouver and arranged by Jay Rouse. Amen indeed. Until next week, I pray you stay safe and keep well. Goodbye.